Hello, beautiful peaches. Welcome to the Macros, Metabolism, and Motivation Beautiful Peach Podcast. I'm your host, Caitlen, a reverse diet expert, sustainable fat loss nerd, and food freedom lover. After healing my own mind, body, and metabolism from the icky, restrict, binge, food guilt cycles, I became obsessed with helping other women do the same. I spent 6 years getting my bachelor's and master's degrees in all things nutrition, dietetics, and metabolism health, go Clemson Tigers, in order to start a science-backed, never cookie-cutter, always customized online macro and reverse diet coaching business. I have supported over 3,500 incredible women in their journey to endless results, and I am so excited to help you do the same. In this podcast, I will be teaching you how to break up with the yo-yo diet cycles, tips and tricks to heal your metabolism through reverse dieting. I will be giving away my sustainable weight loss secrets, all without you having to give up a single food you love. So if you're ready to rediscover that self-love and truly become the most confident, beautiful peach possible, grab a pen and a piece of paper, bump up your volume just a little, and let's dive right in. And don't forget to snag your completely free high-protein macro cookbook. All you need to do is submit a quality 5-star rate and review on this podcast, then fill out the form in the show notes so I know exactly where to send your cookbook. This will actually also automatically enter you into the weekly macro calculator giveaway. Every week, I give away a copy of my C. Schmidt macro calculator to one lovely, beautiful peach who has left an awesome 5-star rate and review on this podcast. The winner is announced every single week in my email newsletter email list, as well as my Instagram story. You can't miss it. So leave that 5-star rate and review, and I will see you in the episode. What is up, my beautiful peach? And today I am very excited for this episode because we are going to be talking through my 3 favorite ways for you to start today if you want to work on losing 10 plus pounds, okay? And I want to preface this by saying that everything I share is going to be 100% science-backed. It's the way that our body is actually working. So I do not believe in quick fixes. I do not believe in quick fixes will literally give you longer term problems, which end up being a longer term problem, right? In the sense of you think you're getting a quick fix, but you do these quick fixes for 10 years, and now it's like you're 10 years into it. So what I share is going to be helping you get in the driver's seat and help you start to go in the right direction. I do also want to just give this disclaimer that everybody is going to be so incredibly different in their journey, in their timelines. And also, these are the 3 tips that, like, if you want to actually start to see changes happen, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to start working on these 3 tips today. So without further ado, let's dive into this podcast episode number 134. Do this to ditch 10 pounds. First and foremost, as I am starting this episode, I want to make sure that if you are new to my podcast, don't forget to click the little follow on your podcast app, whether that's the Apple app, whether that is Spotify, etc. I realize that sometimes I'm not actually clicking to follow the podcast that I want to listen to, and then I don't get notified when they have new episodes, and I'm like, wait, didn't they have new episodes? So highly recommend doing that. I am a little bit tech challenged, and I realize that that's something that you need to do. This will help you get notified when I have a new episode. And then second, also, if you're just like not wanting to, if you have like notifications off, you can come hang out on my Instagram story. I share every single time I have a new episode. Same goes for my newsletter email list. My email list and my story are probably like the first to know about anything and everything. So, and plus with my story, I love podcasting, but I think that one of the things that I do miss is being able to actually have conversations with people. And I love doing that on Instagram, in my DM. It's fun to also get to know people. I have certain people who are always replying to my stories and, asking questions and showing up and like giving me little hearts on my story. And I've actually gotten to know people who listen to my podcast because they're actually like reaching out and responding to things. And, you know, I made this really yummy dish for dinner and they're like, can I have the recipe? And I'm like, yes, of course you can have the recipe. And so it's fun to actually, it was like a macro, like a high protein macro recipe. And it's just fun to get to know you. So I love podcasting, but I also love to chat with you. There's something special. It's different than just like going to the analytics of my podcast and seeing like the thousands of people than it is to like actually have a conversation with you, right? So much different and so much fun. I sometimes feel like I'm talking to like a wall because I'm literally talking to a screen right now. So it's very fun to talk to you. So side note aside here, let's dive into my 3 favorite tips to start today if you want to lose 10 plus pounds, okay? Number 1, and I feel like a broken record sometimes because I say this all the time, but you have to have the proper macros. I cannot stress this enough to you. What I think so many people don't realize about progress and about their macros is you actually have to have the proper macros for your body, for your metabolism, for your goals, and you actually have to be able to hit these macros. It sounds so basic, but it's and simple, yet it's the number one way to create a really solid foundation. And I don't mean simple in the way of lazy. So I want to make sure that's super clear. I think lazy results are super popular in the sense of it's like the quick fix, instant gratification world we live in. But lazy results are going to get you nowhere. And do you really want to be known as like the lazy person, or do you want to be known as the person who put in the work, did it in a way that fit naturally into their life, right? So it didn't become this super complex thing. It wasn't this time suck. It actually got you results, but it was something that wasn't just like a lazy couch potato kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean. Now, what's actually kind of funny too when you think about it, if you think about quick fixes, because they're so incredibly popular, whether that's medication, whether that is like Ozempic, whether that is a diet pill, whether that is just simply cutting out food items, is interesting because we have a quick fix, but it leads to a total rebound. But you are already hooked on that quick fix. So you go back to the next quick fix and you chase those quick fixes for the next 2, 5, 10 plus years, which actually turned into like a long-term problem. And we're still chasing that, that fast fat loss. I was thinking about that the other day and I'm like, it's actually not fast at all. That's actually ending up pushing you into a plateau for like a decade for some people. And so I think what's really important, kind of bringing it back to our first little, having the proper macros and actually hitting those macros, also comes down to consistency. So I guess this is the kind of like 3 tips in one. Number 1, have the proper macros, okay? And I'll give you a little bit more background on this in a second. Number 2, make sure you're able to actually track those macros and eat, track in the real world scenarios. I have a very fun program releasing. I don't want to give too much information about it. I'm just going to give you a little spoiler here. The training modules that you will be getting are going to be teaching you how to track when eating out, how to track your macros with food that does not have a nutrition label like sushi or, getting a donut at your favorite bakery, how to track on the weekend. So many people are in this like weekend start over cycle. How to track when traveling, how to track at potlucks when you're going to your friend's house and you don't know what's going to be for dinner, it's literally how to track your macros in all of these real world scenarios. And in addition to that, the very first thing that you're going to do is actually get your proper macros set for you, because when we have a proper foundation, it's this example that I love to give is when you think of a house and you think of a foundation, if the foundation is cracked, the house is eventually going to crumble and you're going to spend so much more money on that house than if you just put in the work to fix the foundation in the first place. Our bodies and our macros are the same. Put in the work, get that solid foundation now, and you will build a really, really, really good house, a solid house that will lead you to long-term health, okay? And a quick version of the background of macros, there are past episodes giving the in-depth chat through macros, but to give you the quick version, when we are consuming food, all the food that we are consuming is made up of protein, of carbs, and of fat. Okay, so the category for protein, the carbs, and the fat is called a macronutrient, which in short is just called a macro. When we say we're tracking our macros, we are simply tracking our proteins, our carbs, and our fat, which is the food that we consume. I do have a note here. Go look at podcast episode 114, why you should not use MyFitnessPal to calculate your macros. If you are somebody who has used MyFitnessPal or any of those online macro calculators that ask for your height, your weight, your age, and activity factor, those are going to be giving you inaccurate macro calculations. I always say you're welcome to grab my C-Fit macro calculator if you just want like the very basics of that foundation. Okay. That's always down below in the show notes for you. Now, when it comes to tracking our macros, we want to make sure that we're having an adequate amount of each of those macros, and for a reason. And this goes from the very starting of the foundation of our macros into the actual adjustments of those macros, which we'll get into in a little bit. Now, carbs are necessary for energy balance. This is why people who are doing keto low carb are burnt the absolute heck out. If you have not listened to my previous podcast episode, I walked through a client who's eating 820 more calories, and she is actually already 1/3 of the way down to her goal of 15 pounds lost. She started with eating 75 carbs and she was burnt the heck out. And what happens when you're not having adequate carbs, adequate fuel overall, but specifically with your carbs, is you're not going to have energy. You're going to have a bad sleep-wake cycle. You're going to be so incredibly burnt out, okay? Carbs are so necessary for energy balance in and out of the gym, okay? Now, fat. This is necessary for hormonal balance. When I was eating, like 10 years ago, before all my education, all my expertise, I was stuck in this restrict binge food guilt place, and I was eating, I think, like 20 grams of fat, which is far, far, far too low. Now I eat close to 100 grams. Also, when I'm saying how much I'm eating, I really don't want you to think that you should just jump to these numbers, okay? It's really important to properly adjust your macros to get to that place. I just wanted to kind of put that disclaimer there. I eat a lot of food, and also I got there with very, very, very being intentional. It was some solid strategy, okay? I want to interrupt this oh so lovely podcast episode of mine to let you know about a new program coming very soon. Doors are not open quite yet. However, I want to give you just a hint of the details so you can get your name on the waitlist if it does sound like it's something that is up your alley. This program is going to be for beginner macro trackers as well as beautiful peaches who want to support learning to confidently track their macros while navigating life events so they can stop the exhausting weekend start over cycle that is holding them back from losing weight long term and healing their metabolism. You'll be learning how to track food with no nutrition label so you no longer have to be that friend who only orders a side salad with no dressing because she is so scared of getting off track. You will be learning to navigate potlucks such as family cookouts and holidays so your biggest concern is great Aunt Karen's unsolicited advice on your love life or how to raise your kids rather than the stress of trying to stay away from the food table all night in fear of getting off track. I'm not going to fully spill all of the beans, but if you want support learning how to master your macros in social settings, get on the waitlist to be the first to know when I release the full details for the program. That way, when doors are officially open, you are ready to rock and roll. I will drop the waitlist down below in the show notes for you, so go hop in, and if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out on Instagram, and I am happy to answer those for you. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Now, did I walk through why? I don't know if I had this in my macros. Proteins, also, I do have it right here. Oh, I have a note here. If you are wanting to learn to reverse diet to heal your metabolism, so how I basically went from like 20 grams of fat to well above, close to 100, you're going to want to reverse diet. You can go listen to podcast episodes 128 to 131. There's 4 episodes there that are going to give you the 4 phases of reverse dieting. It's a really, really, really solid idea if you are brand spanking new to what the heck a reverse diet is. Now, protein is going to be important for muscle growth and recovery. When we are not eating enough protein, we are not going to be able to have that muscle growth and recovery. But even also, if we are not eating enough food overall, our body does not have enough fuel to push towards having that muscle growth and recovery, which is why it's so incredibly important to, yes, number one, have the correct macros, have that foundation, and then to also build on that foundation to make sure you're getting enough fuel, okay? Now, coming to our tip number 2, and this one's really important, and I don't want you to immediately hear me say this and then like dip out because not everybody is going to want to do this, but I personally love to strength train. I think that there can be a very massive benefit to strength training, because when we are prioritizing our resistance training, our strength training, with the ability to pair that with having adequate fuel, having adequate protein, aka the proper macros, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we are going to be giving our body exactly what it needs to have the fuel to build that muscle that you want to see. Because here's the way that our body works. And I have a cute little note here. So I have a cute little note that I used to go to a body pump class when I first started working out. That was like my entryway into strength training, basically. And I learned to love it. I learned how to do it more. And I know, hi, Trisket. Trisket just walked in. Hi, beautiful. And she's so cute. She's going to get up on her little perch. Go on, girl. You got it. You got it, girly. I want to say hi to my beautiful peaches. No, you don't want to. That's okay. That's okay. She's saying hi to you. She's saying hi. So body pump was my entryway into strength training. And the reason why I think strength training is so incredibly important is because when we are strength training, we are overloading our muscle. And I'm going to use my biceps, like a bicep curl as an example. We are overloading the muscle with weight. Okay. And what's going to happen is it's actually going to tear our muscle, which sounds bad, but it's not. It's going to create this, what's called a micro tear in our muscle. Shout out to my my grad school education here, exercise science and sports nutrition, and also with me and my little analogies. So we've got a tear in our muscle. And in order for that tear to actually be healed, we actually have to have enough protein. And so a lot of people don't have enough protein. They are tearing their muscles. They're not getting that muscle growth. They're not getting that recovery. And they're just basically tearing their body down. Now, when you have adequate protein, what's going to happen is your protein is going to go to that micro tear. It's going to heal it. So it's going to heal that micro tear, make it come back together. And it's actually going to build what I like to think of as like a tiny little bridge over that little micro tear. Okay. The little bridge is more muscle. Okay. Takes a very long time to get there. It's not going to happen overnight. I have been strength training for over 10 years. It is a work in progress. It's going to be continuous, but it is such a positive thing. And muscle weighs more than fat. So a lot of people have a really cool body recomp as they are going through the process of tracking their macros and really taking a deep dive there. So when you're having that protein, it's going to your micro tear, it's healing it, it's building a little bit more of a bridge, and you can move on, go create more micro tears over that bridge. Then the protein will come, heal that new micro tear, and then build more, and it continues on and on and on. Now, here is what's extremely important. If you are somebody who you absolutely do not want to strength train, it is not for you. Weights are not for you. Please do not don't let this make you think that you will not see results, you cannot lose fat, etc. I have so many clients who do not want to strength train, and that is just fine. If you prefer cycling, if you prefer Pilates, if you prefer rock climbing, if you prefer walking, whatever it may be, I am in such full support, because I want you to do what's going to help you have long-term changes, meaning that you have to do something that's going to be sustainable for you, enjoyable for you, and actually something that you can be consistent with, okay? I support what's going to excite you, okay? Also, one extra thing in this is I used to actually work out 7 days a week way back when I was like in the depths of the restrict binge food guilt cycles. And I, over the past few years, have been working out 3 days a week. When you have like a quick and effective workout, I am not in a gym longer than like 45 minutes. You do not need to be spending hours at the gym. You do not need to be spending 7 days a week at the gym. I was working out 3 days a week, quick and effective workouts. I'm now working out 4 days a week solely because that's what fits into my current schedule. And you get to do what's going to fit best for you. Okay. Number 3 here, you need to determine your metabolic health. If you have a slow metabolism, because if you are putting in the work, you are tracking your macros, you are, kicking booty with your fitness, whether that's walking, whether that's strength training, like you're getting your movement in, but you're not seeing results, there is a very strong chance that you probably have a little bit of metabolic damage, which sounds so terrible when I say that. I'm like, it literally sounds so bad, but it's really not. It's not the end of the world. It just means that you need to heal your metabolism and you need to do a reverse diet, which is going to be absolutely, absolutely incredible. Metabolic damage can be caused from prolonged periods of dieting, prolonged periods in a restrictive place. So when you are able to get yourself out of that, it allows you to completely fuel your body to the absolute best. If you have not listened to my podcast episode, I think it's 132, What is a Metabolism? I highly suggest going and listening to that one, because it's going to give you a whole background behind what your metabolism is, essentially what it does for our body, to give you the basic steps of what a metabolism does for our fat loss. Okay. So these are my really solid best places to start if you're like brand spanking new and you are wanting to start to see that weight loss happen. Number one, start tracking your macros, but make sure that you are doing it properly. I highly suggest making sure that you are not doing any kind of online calculator that has just your height, your weight, your age, and activity factor. You are welcome to put your name on the wait list for my super fun program that is coming up. If it's already open, I will have on that wait list page something that will bring you, I'll just like put a button on there and it will bring you directly to the actual program. It is going to be literally teaching you how to track your macros in every social setting you can possibly think of. And also you get a kick butt community of women who are going through this with you. I'm like so excited about this. So put your name on the wait list. If you're like, I don't want to wait list, I want to get started now, go grab my macro calculator or send me a DM on Instagram and just tell me you want to get started, and I can help kind of talk through your journey, what's going on, and lead you in the right direction. I will always be so incredibly honest with where I think that you should start. Okay. I will give it to you straight kind of person. Okay. And if you're like, I think I have a slow metabolism, I am not sure, what do I do about this? You can go ahead and grab my metabolism report. It's basically a metabolism health calculator that is down below in the show notes for you. So with all of this, I am very excited. I hope these steps are helpful. Please never hesitate to reach out, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, my beautiful peach. I have a slow metabolism. I am not sure, what do I do about this? You can go ahead and grab my metabolism report. It's basically a metabolism health calculator that is down below in the show notes for you. So with all of this, I am very excited. I hope these steps are helpful. Please never hesitate to reach out, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, my beautiful peach.